All right, here we go. So hello to everybody that's joined us on our webinar and anybody also watching on YouTube or anybody that might be watching afterwards as well. Thanks a lot for coming. And as I said, we're doing a session today on Zoom for new staff at MTU. So first of all, welcome to everyone. And I'm just going to give you a little look at our session overview for today. So some of the things we're going to be looking at is access, so how to access Zoom inside of Canvas, how to schedule a Zoom class, a little bit about your mic and audio setup, authentication, allowing participants entry into your meeting, a little bit about chat and other communication tools that we have, sharing your screen and the best way to do that, and a little bit about recording and editing if we have time. So just kind of give you a little bit of a recap there about Canvas. So Canvas is MTU's virtual learning environment. So all staff and students have access and are automatically enrolled on their relevant modules. Canvas can be used for a variety of things, but namely for sharing resources, receiving assessment files, communicating with students. We have a lot of integrated features into Canvas and systems. So some of these would include Zoom, as we're going to be looking at today. We have other things as well, such as the anti-plagiarism detection software. We have the e-learning authoring tools, such as H5P, Labster, and Numbus. So if you need any of these added into your module, you can always give us a shout out there. I did a lot about these things today in our Welcome to Canvas session. So if you need to have a look at that, that's available on our department YouTube as well, along with a lot of other training resources there. So it's a handy place to have a look if you're new and getting set up with Canvas and Zoom. So just very quickly then to kind of point out some of this to you, we have Canvas in the center of our graphic here and all of the different features and integrations that we have that work with it. So we have this cut up into our slices here. So as you can see, if we're looking at something like our live classes and communication, all the different features that we have to support that would be things like the Canvas chat, we have Zoom, we have the Zoom apps, breakout rooms, the whiteboards, we've WooClap. So there's a few things there that you can have a look at in your own time. So for today, I'm going to jump straight into our demonstration of how to use Zoom inside of Canvas. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a module here. So this is just any random module that I've selected from my dashboard here. So for whatever module you're looking to set up your Zoom classes for, you just got to open that module. And then we can see alongside the side, we have this module menu inside of each one. So if you need to customize this, or if you don't see Zoom inside of this menu here, you can adjust that by just going into your settings, into your navigation, and making sure Zoom is in that top one and not in this bottom list. If it's in this bottom list, it won't show here. So you just need to drag and drop that up here again, and then save that out. And you'll see it's now available inside this menu. So if I click onto Zoom, this is how we can access it. So this is for staff and for students. So for anybody in the module, if they want to get into the Zoom classes, this is where you'd go. So for yourself then as well, for staff, when you are setting up a new meeting, so what you want to do is you want to come into this area. We have 3 tabs here. So we have our upcoming meetings. So as you can see, I have none set up there at the moment. I have no data. We have the previous meetings, same thing. I've not had any previous meetings on this module. And then we have cloud recordings. So these are the cloud recordings that were done last semester for this module. So we'll have a little bit look at those later in a little bit more detail. But for now, we'll keep it simple and let's have a look at scheduling a new meeting. So we're just going to click on this button here and we'll see that this new window here pops up. So we can give our meeting a topic name. So give this a nice descriptive name, dependent on what your class is and the topic that you're teaching. You can give it an optional description here as well. And then you need to set when. So what day is it going to be? You can use the calendar there to choose what day you're going to set up that meeting for. You can choose what time it's going to be at and whether that's going to be AM or PM. You also have the duration then of how long this meeting or the class is going to go on for. So typically around an hour. I'm happy with that. We also have the time zone. And then an important one here is whether it's a recurring meeting or not. So if I click on this one, I can set this. So if I have a class, say, every Friday at 12 o'clock, I can set this to be weekly. And now this meeting will repeat. So I can have it repeat just once, or I can click on any number there to have it repeat. And then you can also have I have it set now to the Thursday, so you can just edit these as you go, and then you can set an end date of it as well if you want to, or you can have it like end after 7 or 8 sessions or whatever number you wish that to be. So that's a handy one, just so you're using the same link every time you're setting up a meeting, and it's also handier for the students as well, so they're not constantly asking you for new links or trying to find the links. It's always going to be the same link to get into the Zoom meeting for that particular class. Some other options that we have there is you can turn on registration. So this would be if you wanted students to register for your class. So you can click on that. You can set a passcode as well, or a password for your code. We have them set that there has to be the waiting room and that they have to have an authenticated account. But one of the things you can change here is that you can have it change from only MTU Cork students and staff to all authenticated users. So the difference here is that these are going to be students or staff that have either an @MTU email address or at my MTU email address. Or if you had someone like an external speaker or a guest speaker in for 1 or 2 weeks, you could change it to all authenticated users. And this just means that they don't need to have an MTU account, but they do just need to have a regular Zoom account to get in. So you can change that there. You also have just some additional display options there. So whether you want the host to have the video on or participant video on, and then you have these options as well. So allow the host to save the video order, breakout room pre-assign, record the meeting automatically in the cloud. This is a handy one if you're someone who typically forgets to record your meetings and you want to record them. Just be mindful that it starts recording from the minute you open that session. So if you're sitting fixing yourself for anything before you get going, that will all be recorded. But you can also just trim that once you're finished as well. And if I have time, I'll show you how to do that later today. And then the last thing is that we have the alternative hosts. So if myself and, for instance, Sarah Pattinson here, we're both working on this module together and both lecturing on this module, we could have each other as alternative hosts. And this just means that any of us can go in and be the host and start the meeting and so on and so forth. So once we're happy with that, we'll save that out. And now I have the options here to delete the meeting, edit the meeting, or start the meeting. So that's ready to go in there. So if I click back into my Zoom tab now, I can see now that I have these upcoming meetings. So I have a lot of them now populated because I have a set for weekly. So I have it, every Thursday at 12 o'clock. And then I can see what my topic is going to be, the meeting ID, which doesn't change. And then we have the options to start that meeting or delete the meeting. So that's kind of everything you need to know there about setting up your meeting and scheduling it. And then, so once you're finished, then you have your previous meetings area here. So this is where they'll pop up once you've already had that meeting. And then we have this cloud recordings option as well. So anything that you have recorded into the cloud will show up here. And so you can click on this here and you can actually see what the video was, and it'll open up a new tab and you'll be able to watch it in there. And you can see that this one has the yellow marks on it. So this is where my colleague Sarah has added some highlights into the video, which comes in handy if you have certain topics that you want the students to be able to flick through and have a look. Perfect. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just kind of run through some of these things down the bottom here with you. So you should be able to see on my screen now that I have this mute option here. So that's, as you can see, I can click that to toggle my mute on and off. I also have this little arrow here, which allows me to very quickly select what microphone I'm going to use. So it depends on how many you have plugged in. So at the minute I'm using my headset. I could also use this one or this one. I just click on those to change it. I can select what speaker I want, and I can actually even test my speaker and microphone. So I'm not sure if you could hear that, but that just played like a little ringtone for me there to make sure that I could hear it. And I could see the green bar then bouncing as well to show that the sound was working there on my laptop and it was picking it up through the microphone. The next one beside it there that we have is the start video option. So you can see there, if I click on that, I can turn my video on and turn it back off again. I have also the options there to blur my background. So you can see I've just changed that to a blurred background there. I also have the option to choose a virtual background from the list. So there's a few of them there you can pick and choose from. So it might be worth just taking a little bit of time before your session if you do want to use a virtual background to choose which one you want. And then we also have down here some additional settings here. So if I open these settings now, you can see that I have a lot of them here. So the first one we have is the general settings. So these are just things like if you're using dual monitors, if how long you want to be reminded before the meeting, like if you want to integrate Zoom with Outlook, kind of what team you want, light or dark. So there's a couple of kind of just general settings there that again, I'd suggest you just kind of have a look through one day when you have 5 or 10 minutes spare, just to make sure you're happy with them all. The next settings we have then is the video. So again, I can choose what kind of webcam I have. If I have more than one, I'm obviously using the one on front of my camera there. So if I had an external webcam and I plug that in, it would show here also. I also have the option to mirror my video, to touch up my appearance, and adjust it for low light. So again, I would just recommend going through all of these and just seeing what works best for your computer and for your different software and hardware that you're using. So then we have the audio. So as you can see here, I can see my input level is bouncing. I can see what different ones I have. So whether what speaker I have, what microphone I have, and I can go through here and have the audio profile. So background noise suppression. So have that on auto suppression, have it on low, so that their faint background noises are high. So the background speech, depending on what you're using the meeting for. But then again, in general, the ones that are set work pretty well, but it's always just worth having a look and making sure that's working for yourself. So before I finish with those, I'm just going to jump back in here now. And the next thing I'll show you there is the participants. So if you click on the participants, I actually have a screenshot that I can show you later. Some of the settings that I'm going to be showing you here on my black bar are slightly different to the ones that you will see on the bottom of your screen, typically, and that's because at the moment we're in a webinar, we're not in just a normal meeting that we do is for classrooms, but I can show you that once I jump back into my presentation. But basically you have your participants here. If you click on this, and it'll be able to show you exactly how many participants are in the room. You also have the chat option then as well in both the webinar and in a normal meeting. So you can use this section then for to chat back and forth with your students. You can direct message people, or you can send messages to everybody, and you can give them the options to do that also. In this one, in the webinar, we have the Q&A option, but this isn't an option in typical meetings. And then we have here that we can do a share. So if I click this, you should be able to see now that I have this option of what screen I want to share. So I have screen 1, which is my laptop screen. I have my screen 2, which is my second screen that I have connected to it. I can open up a whiteboard screen. So I can click on that and it'll just give me a blank whiteboard, and I have loads of different things that I can do here. So I can add some stamps if I want to do that. I can obviously use the pen, and there's loads of different styles of the pen that you can use. I can draw some arrows. I can add a little bit of text in there. You can spotlight things, so you can turn your own cursor into an arrow to point at things, or I can just make it a red dot to make something a little bit clear of what I'm showing you. But in general, it's really handy tool. And then you can also allow students to collaborate with this on. When this is on, you can allow students to collaborate with you as well. And once you're finished, you can clear all those drawings, or you can save it as well. So let's just clear all those drawings there for the moment. And as always, you can kind of choose your line width and the colors and stuff there. So it's a really handy way to be able to just demonstrate something really quickly to students by opening that whiteboard. Now, sorry, just bringing us back into that screen share there again. Something else I just wanted to show you there about the screen share is that you have this little checkbox down here to share your sound. So this is the computer sound. So if you wanted to share something, say like a video to your class, you need to make sure that this is selected so that they can hear the sound on your computer and they can hear the sound on that video. And then if you're as well showing a video clip, you want to select this one to optimize, optimize the video clip and let them be watching it and hearing it in the best quality possible. We also have the annotate option here, which is very similar to the whiteboard, but it just means I can actually draw on top of whatever this page is here. So if I wanted to really make something clear to my students here, I could just annotate that for them there, and really point out this is what I'm talking about. Okay, so those are most of the settings there that I wanted to go through with you there. So I'm just going to jump back into my session here. And I just want to show you one or two more additional things. So this is just a screenshot there. I'll make this a little bit larger so you can see it. All right, and so what we can see here is I've pressed on the participants button, and now I can see that this was a screenshot from earlier, how many people were in this meeting. So at the moment, there's just myself. So when students try to join your meeting, as I said, they need to make sure that they're joining from either their MTU accounts, or if it's somebody like an external speaker or a guest, make sure they're joining from another Zoom account that they've authenticated. And once they try to join the meeting, they will be added to this list here, and then you have the option to admit them into the meeting, so they won't be automatically brought in. So that comes back to the setting that I showed you earlier about the waiting room. Everybody be automatically put into a waiting room, and you would click through this list and allow them to enter into the waiting room, and you'll also have a button to just allow everybody entry in as well. The next thing that I just wanted to show you there was that you have reports as well. So in your reports, this is a screenshot that I took for one earlier. Obviously, for reasons I have a lot of stuff blocked out on it, but what you can see in the meeting reports, so you'll get one of these generated after the meeting. And what's really handy is you can actually export this as a CSV file as well. So what we'll get the information is we'll get their name, we'll get their email address. So you can see I've just blocked everybody's out, but we have a lot of them there. We have at what time particularly they joined at, what time they left at, and then the duration, so how long they stayed in there for. So you can see some students only stayed for 1 minute, so that to me kind of shouts that they were having issues getting in and out, but odds are that was them coming back in again, and most of the students then were there for the 61 minutes, which was the duration of the entire meeting. So yeah, it's just really handy to have and to be able to know where that is. So that's back in your Zoom. So that would be in here. Once you have that meeting done, you'll be able to find that in there. You'll also have a report then if you ran a poll during the session, so you can click on that and it'll just give you a reminder of the poll that you sent and any feedback and any answers that were given for that poll. Okay, I'm just going to show you a quick video there for the moment on some of the things that I'm not able to show you live in this session. So I'm just going to open up here so it's a little bit better quality. And I'm just going to move my own bar just out of the way there so we can all see it. So we can see here, this is the breakout rooms option. So this is another option you have at the bottom of your bar. So you can choose how many of those breakout rooms you want to select. So you can see I've chosen to select 3 breakout rooms. And in that area there at the bottom, it would be telling you if I had 10 participants in this meeting of 3 breakout rooms, it'd be telling you how many participants it's going to automatically assign into each room. As you can see here, I have the assign automatically option selected. So that's what it'll update. The more people you have, it'll equally split them between each room. You also have the option then to assign people manually or to let the participants choose their own room. So once you choose that, then you can see here's my 3 rooms. I can rename those rooms if I want to, depending on what the topics are going to be, or depending on what I want the students to do in those rooms. And then I also have the assign option there, which means I can manually just assign people or I can move them around if that's what I want to do. In the bottom options there, we just have some additional options. So these are things like allow the participants to choose the room again, automatically move all assigned participants into the breakout rooms, or any unassigned people, move them into breakout rooms, and so on. And you can see there at the bottom, we can set a countdown timer as well for when the breakout room is finished. They will all get pulled back into the main room. So you can see now there that the breakout room is now in progress. Breakout room's in progress up the top. I can see how many people have joined, when they've joined. And then what I can do is once I'm done, I can close all those rooms and everybody will be dragged back into that main room with me again. Another helpful thing I can do is a broadcast. So if I click on broadcast there, I can either broadcast a message or I can broadcast a voice message. So that's just handy to be able to talk to everybody at once or to kind of give them prompts. You know, I could say you have 10 minutes left in the room, 5 minutes left in the room, and then that'll give them the heads up before they're pulled back in. So the next thing then that is along the bottom of this list is the reactions there. So you can see the different reactions down the bottom. And so these are basically just emojis. So if you ask the students something like, can anybody hear me? Give me a thumbs up. They can go along those reactions and they can choose one there that they can talk to you or they can talk to each other with. Another one there that we have is helpful is this show captions button. So I'm just going to pause it there for 1 second. So if you click on that show captions button, we get this little pop-up here, which will be select the language participants will use in the meeting. So we're happy with English. So we're going to go ahead and select that. And now the closed captioning is enabled. So if I was talking, you can see I was testing, welcome to our session today. And you can see that that's coming down. Now it's not absolutely perfect, depending on whether you have a Cork or Dublin accent, it can pick up some of the things wrong as well. So just to be mindful of that, but it's a nice thing to include, and it's pretty handy just to turn on and off there as you need it. So one of the last things there that I want to show you that I wasn't able to show you live is this security button here. So I'll just press play again there. And so these are just some additional options. Like for instance, there we have the lock meeting option. And this just means that you could say to your students, our class is going to start at 12. At 10 past 12, I'm going to lock that meeting. So if you're not in the room by 10 past 12, you can't enter. And this just stops people constantly being admitted into the room. And then you don't have to stop teaching to keep letting them in, because they won't be able to come in by themselves. You'll have to keep admitting people in. So it's kind of, it's one easy way of doing that. Say everybody be here by 10 past, quarter past, then the meeting's being locked. Or you could just do something like make little checkpoints for yourself throughout the class. So you could check it at 5 past, and then you could check it again at like 20 past. And that could be your 2 check-in times to let people enter into your meeting room. You also have some options there to what you can allow students to do. So whether you want them to be able to chat, share their screen, unmute themselves, and so on. So you can have a look at that. That's in your security section down at the bottom. So the next thing there that I just wanted to show you was the option there to create polls. So I'm just going to drag that back there. So you have your polls at the bottom. And if I click that, I can see that I have no polls or quizzes created. So if I click on that, I can actually create a poll in real time. I have 2 different types I can create. So I can have a simple poll, or I can have a bit more of an advanced one with different question types. So at the moment, we'll set up a very simple one. So you can see here I have my untitled poll, and I can just add in any question, and I can add in the couple of choices that I have there. And then I can choose any time throughout the class that I want to post that poll and get people's opinions on it and get people to interact with it. So you can see here, I've added my question and my choices there. So once I'm happy with that, then I can save. I have the option to create breakout rooms for that there as well. And I also have more, so require the answers to be anonymous if I want to. So once I'm happy, I'll save that out. And then it's not going to automatically go out to the students. So what it's going to actually do, this is me renaming it. So what I can actually do is, once I'm happy with that, I can leave it for a little while if I want to. So I can get these set up before the class if I want to do that. And once I'm happy with it, I just click that poll button again and click launch. I also have the options there to edit, duplicate, or delete it if I want to do that. So that's what it looks like once you launch the poll. So you can see the question, and I can see percentages of what is being answered and how many people are or what people are picking most. And so once I'm happy that everybody has participated in my poll, I can see the timer there. I've given them enough time. I can see how many people have answered it. I can end that poll. And once I do that, then I can see the end results. Obviously, nobody participated in my poll. It was just myself in the session. I can then have the options to relaunch them, download those results, or I can view the results in the browser, or I can share them with whoever's in the room there as well. So those are just some of the things that I just wanted to kind of run through with you there, that I wasn't able to show with you because we're in the webinar today. So one of the last things I'm going to go through with you here is some of the support systems that we have to give you a hand getting set up with Zoom, and any other ed tech things that you need as well. So I have just included the Canvas support here as well. So the Canvas support wouldn't look after Zoom, so you'd have to come to us for that. But it's just kind of handy if you missed the session this morning to know that we do have Canvas 24/7 support, and this is in the shape of either a web chat. You can submit a ticket, which is like an email, or you can use the telephone and give them a call there. But for things related to Zoom, if you're having any Zoom issues, please send us a ticket here at edtech@mtu.ie, and somebody from the Technology Enhanced Learning Department will get back to you, usually within about 24 hours or much less, we try. And we also have our Canvas Learn course, so I'm going to click into this and give you a little demo there. So I kind of showed this as well today in our session, but what I want to show you now is this third-party tools section. So if I click on this, I can see I have a whole section here on Zoom. So obviously my other third-party tools are there as well. But if you go into this, you can get a whole array of information that we have put together on different types of things you can do in Zoom, different features, common things that happen, common questions that are asked. So it's a handy course to be able to go in and find all of that information. We also have our own department website is available there. That's tel.cit.ie. And we have our staff supports. So if you have a look at these, what I can actually do, you can see straight away, I have a whole section here popping up at the start. We've Zoom getting started, or we've Zoom here. So what you can see is like, do I need help? This is a common thing that we get asked, is that people aren't getting entry into the Zoom sessions. So if you're watching on YouTube and you couldn't get into our Zoom session today, what you need to do is you need to sign in through SSO. So if I click in there, it just means when you're signing in, you want to sign in with this SSO option here, and this will just ensure that you're authenticated and you're coming through the MTU one, and that should solve all those problems for you there. But if I was having any kind of problem, I could just keyword search the word Zoom, and I can see all the different help articles that we have on Zoom there, and you can click through them, and they're basically just little tutorials. So I'll walk you step by step through it. And as always, we have our YouTube department channel, which has a whole load of videos on there on Zoom and Canvas and a lot of other EdTech tools that we use. So I have basically 3 or 4 minutes left. So very quickly, I'll show you how to edit a video inside of Zoom. So you can, as I told you earlier, you can go into your Zoom here. Just open this back up fresh. And you can see your upcoming, your previous, and your cloud recordings. So if I click into this, I can't actually edit my cloud recording from here. I can see it, I can see the highlights, I can watch it. Oh, it is letting me know. All right, tech problems. Anyway, so usually this is hit and miss whether it turns up. So I will show you both ways. But basically, when you're inside here, what I can do is I can just click on that little scissors to trim it. And we're going to load the video up here. And what I can do is I can actually just drag these back and forth and have that video start and finish wherever I want it to. So as I said, if you kind of have it set to automatically record in the cloud, and I might have been sitting here kind of just fixing my hair and stuff beforehand, I can just drag this, take those first couple of seconds out and save that out. I can just press the trim button there. And the same at the end, if your class kind of finished around here and then you guys had a bit of a general chat or anything, you can just trim those off and then you just have your main content inside of that there. Now, if you come through this way and you're not seeing that little scissors, I just want to show you where you can actually find it as well. If you go to telcit.zoom.us, so you can find this link in all the help docs as well. This is your profile. This is your online web profile for your Zoom. So I can see here my menu here, and I have all my recordings right here. So if I click onto my recordings, I'm logged in, so I'm happy there. I can see all the recordings that I've previously made. And so what I can do is I can click into one of those. It looks very similar to what I just showed you there a moment ago. I have the option to download my recording to make it a shareable link. So this is handy if you've delivered a session, you want to be able to share the link out with students afterwards via email or through a Canvas announcement or something like that. I have the option to delete it, of course. And if I click onto my play button, it'll open for me nice and fresh in a new window. And just like the one that I showed you a moment ago, I now have this little scissors here and I can trim that as much as I need to. Once I'm happy, I'll press trim. That's okay, I'm happy with that, trim that. And now I have a nice shorter version of that video. So it went from 6 seconds long to 4 seconds long. And so that's just a nice simple way of being able to top and tail your video. So we're just reaching the time there, so I'm going to give it another minute. If anybody has any questions, you can pop them into the Q&A there. We'll get back to you. If you're watching on YouTube, you can pop them into the chat or the Q&A area on that. And as always, if you have any questions afterwards that you think of, or if you've something that you didn't feel comfortable asking here in the session, do just reach out to us at edtech@mtu.ie, and we're more than happy to give you a bit of assistance there. But thanks so much, everybody, for coming. I'll keep an eye on that Q&A there for a moment. And at the moment, Eva, you cannot top and tail out the middle. I know that Canvas, we're working on something that you could cut a section out of the middle, but for the moment, I'll pop this back open. I'll just double check that live while we're looking at it. So if I click my scissors, yeah, for the moment, I can't take anything out of that middle section. I can only trim it from the top and the bottom. But the only thing is, if we have some other kind of screencasting software, such as ScreenPal, it's formerly called Screencast-O-Matic, has some of that functionality in there. So it might be worth having a look at some of our third-party tools and integrations there. Can you undo a trim? I think you can get the option to, save as a new clip. So that's the best thing that you can do. So when you're topping and tailing something, always save it as your new clip. So that's really good for pointing out. Thanks for that, Aoife. And then that way, then you'll always have your longer original version that wasn't edited, and then you have your second edited version there as well. Does SSO login only work in the downloaded version of Zoom? No, you need to log into SSO on all versions of Zoom. So if you were using the one I had up earlier, so on this one here, when you go to sign in, so if I sign out of this now, I'll see if I can get back in. So if I even just go zoom.us there, and so I can see here now, here's my login page. So if I put in that there, it's not going to let me in properly. So I need to find that SSO button, no matter where I'm logging in from. Now, Zoom is very good. It's very well integrated into Canvas, that if I just open up my Zoom and I'm already logged into Canvas, like I showed you earlier, it'll automatically log me in. The difference is here I'm working out of incognito mode for these demonstrations because I wanted to be able to show it in a certain way. But if I click on that there, I'll get brought through the SSO route. What you need to do is you need to sign in with SSO. So TEL CIT is our company domain there. It's no spaces or anything. And then we press continue. And now I'm inside here. So it's pretty handy. So what it's done there is it knows that I'm logged into Canvas, or it knows that these other windows here are already signed in. So it's pulling that information in already for me. So there's no issues there. All right, I think that's all of the questions. If anybody has any more, feel free to keep popping them into the chat there. But otherwise, I just want to thank everybody again for coming along to our session today. Find where my window is and turn my camera back on to say goodbye. Thanks, Mel, guys, for coming along. And yeah, as always, if you have any questions, do let us know afterwards. Otherwise, we will see you